Matikela, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about Senzo Meyiwa case, of course, and we talk about Qonselani. We talk about Qonselani's testimony because Sana, oh my God, what a gentle Mgulugudu. What a gentle Mgulugudu, Sana love. Qonselani comes in and he starts talking. You are like, Haibo, is that the Mgulugudu? Haibo, is that the Mgulugudu? You are like, how? I thought batena ungulugudu. Ungumalgajo. I thought batena ungulugudu wena. Manje kufika umfana wakwaButhelezi othi gama lami Qoniselani bekuthintwa Buthelezi. Gama lami Qoniselani bekuthintwa Buthelezi. Hayibo. Voice ini manje lena lesilalele lana. Hlobo luni lokhu ngizwisiseni because I'm like, hayibo wena ukhuluma kanjalo insizwa madoda. Hayi ngasho nacinga la ngoma ithi insizwa sejela amadoda sejela. Madoda hayibo uqiniselani bahlanya abafazi ku-comment section makaqeda nje ukuthi igama lami uqiniselani bekuthintwa Buthelezi. Madoda hayi nkosi yami. Anyway, ithanda singene ke be serious again. So, ladies and gentlemen, what happened in court may prove to be one of the most significant developments in the defense case so far, because the other one, it was the testimony of Khumalo, right, who was speaking also about uMakhimbi. Now we have uMakhimbi himself coming to also talk about what Khumalo was talking about and some other details as extraordinary, I must say. All right. Qonselani Makhimba Buthelezi finally took the witness stand, and his testimony had raised some serious questions about some of the narratives that have circulated around the Senzo Meyiwa investigation for years from Ukininda and his team. From the cold case unity, those narratives, uMakhimba came to change some of those things. Makhimba came to change some of those things because he told us they can't be true. They can't, and we have no reason not to believe him. He has no reason to lie. He's serving a life sentence in prison. So why would he lie? To understand what makes this testimony of his particularly important is not simply what Makhimba said, but what the evidence could mean when placed alongside the testimony previously given by Lieutenant Khumalo. For years, the public has heard allegations linking individuals from Nongoma to the Senzo Meyiwa murder investigations. Some names repeatedly surfaced in statements, confessions, and police investigations. So yesterday, one of those individuals came to court and directly challenged several of those allegations. According to Makhimba, both him and his brother, known as Marco Buthelezi, were incarcerated from August 2013 until September 2016. Why is that important? Because Senzo Meyiwa was murdered on the 26th of October 2014. If the incarceration records are accurate and verifiable, then it would mean both men were already behind bars when murder occurred, of which they checked them. Everything was checked and it checked out. Now that immediately raises a critical question. How did their names become associated with the Senzo Meyiwa murder investigation? So according to Makhimba, sometime during July, August, so I think it was July, if I'm not mistaken, male police officers, one female police officer, so that makes 4. That was 3 male police officers and 1 female officer, which I believe it was Mogola, the female. It was, who's this man? Mugane, the male. And then it was Mabena, the other male. Mulaudzi would have been the other person because he's also in that team. Those 4. Sorry. I think it was all 4 of them arrived and informed him that they arrived at Qalakabusha prison and informed him that they were investigating the Senzo Meyiwa murder case. He says the officers brought someone who collected DNA samples from him, fingerprints from him. At first glance, that may seem, sorry, like routine investigation work. But then comes the part of the testimony that caught the attention of many courtroom observers. Makimba testified that he informed the investigators that him and his brother Marco had been incarcerated between 2013 and 2016. Now, the officers allegedly left to verify the information, but already they took all of that information. Now, before we go further with that, Ukinenda was not there. Let's make it that very clear. Now, if you are listening to my Kim, one thing that comes to mind now is, okay, they go to you July. If they go to my Kimbi in July, that means May 30 or 31st, I don't remember the real date now, between 30 and 30th May 2020 or 31st May 2020, CBL, I choose number one for the Senzo Meyiwa case, was arrested. And, sorry, during his so-called arrest for the Senzo Meyiwa case, another case, sorry, it was not a case. I'm thinking of something else now. Okay, fine. Let's leave that. Okay, and another situation happens. He gets the Tembisa case. When he was arrested for that, the Tembisa case arises. Now, let's leave the Tembisa case, but the bottom line is that they arrested him and they had him voluntarily confessing that Makimbe and Marco Buthelezi and him as accused number one were involved in the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. Voluntarily link that, ne? Clock it voluntarily. Now, if he voluntarily gives this information and says Makimbe and Marco were involved in the murder of Senzo Meyiwa, this is now 2020, ne? Umarco ushone in 2019. Umarco died 2019. According to Umakimbi now, Umuzi does not really know them. They would see each other in passing, not people that were friends, not talking to each other. They were not that kind. They would see each other in passing. So he doesn't really know Umuzi. You hear that he doesn't really know Umuzi from him saying Umuzi is from Wanongom, whereas Umuzi is from Kwatreza. And people have come to explain Kwatreza is under Imahlabatin. Imahlabatin is the neighboring town of Kwanongom. And rightful so, now Umuzi stays in the Mahlabatini that is very close to Kwanongoma. They are divided by a road. This side, Mahlabatini, this side, Kunongoma. So they can see each other from these towns. Do you understand? That's that. Now, that goes to Ubuti. How can Muzi say Umakimbi no Marco were part of the case, yet Umuzi knows them? Because if Umuzi knows them, Umuzi would have known that Umakimbi no Marco were in prison from 2013 to 2016. He would have known that, guys. If he knows them and he was working with them, they were Migulugutu together. He would have known that 2013 to 2016, these people were in prison. He would have never put them in any confession. He would have never put those names in any confession. Nas. I don't know if that is making sense. If Muzi knew Makimbi and Marco, why would he put them in it? He was friends with them. He was working with them. He was doing things with them. Why would he put them in a confession? It goes back to one thing. Gininda and his team never investigated this case. They were looking for actors to fulfill their narrative, their script. That is what it is, because it doesn't make sense. Even in where you stay, you would know when people got arrested. Even if you forget the dates, but the year, you will never forget. And you will know the year they resurfaced, came back. This goes to show Muzi was right when he told the court that they forced all of that information to me. I knew nothing about that. I did not give that information freely. It's them that forced that information to me. It makes sense. Now listen to this. To show that they never investigated. Then according to Makimba, approximately 2 weeks later, after they came to charge him, they charged him, right? They took DNA samples, fingerprints, etc. while he was at Kalakabusha prison. They left. Now, 2 weeks later, the investigators returned. Now, in our view, as we are busy doing analysis, it was Captain Mangena, it was Gininda. I don't know the other two because it seems like it's not the ones that they came previously, because he would have said the same. The two other one was the same ones that came back that were there firstly. So it means it was other two people now that were not the ones that came before. According to Makimba, this time he says Gininda was present, right? According to Makimba, Gininda apologized because Gininda went to verify that Makimba was arrested in Nomako. So if police, these people, they think we are dumb there. If they investigated, the moment Usibia in May said Makimbi and Marco were involved, they know these are Skelegeters, they know them. They would have checked these names, the Butelezi brothers, they would have checked them and then found out there and there, a day or later, they would have never gone to Kanselani, guys. They would have never gone to Kanselani. They would have never went to him to see him. They would have never went to Kanselani to see him, guys, if they checked thoroughly. Simple, they don't make investigations. They only got something to investigate from Kanselani, but they were forcing the information onto who I choose number one. Now, that is why Ukinida is like, because he already had a done deal in his head with his script. He already had a done deal. Now, he finds out Umako is dead. He finds out that Ukanselani is in prison and was in prison. Now, he's like, we need to go back to the drawing board. That is the reason they went back to the drawing board, because now there is no Marco. Marco passed away. And if they investigated after Sibia confessed, they would have known Marco passed and the other one is in prison. Now, to them, the excitement was that Ukanselani is in prison. They went there rushing because they were like, he's fitting his Mgeleke. They went there rushing thinking he's a Skelekeke. He's fitting the narrative. Only to be disappointed. Now, someone very smart said something very, very smart, very intelligent in our live last night, the Ghost Ladies live last night. I'm gonna add that here. But first, now Ukinida comes and apologizes. And then he says, now we see that you were never don't. Now Ukinida, he comes as if he's apologizing. No, he had a mission because he already had Undansi. He already had Usmia, and he needed something that is going to link I choose number two, Noma Kimbi. He didn't have it. So he leaves a number and gives 100 rand. With that number, he wanted Makimbi. This lady, Mpume, says he wanted Makimbi to call that number because they know that in prison, people have cell phones. He knew if Makimbi can call that phone off Ndanzi, it will make calls. There will be data. Now, Makimbi, fortunately for him, his brain is alive. He did not take the number and the money. He did not. He did not fall for that trap. Now, that is why you will never find anywhere where Makimbi phoned Ndanzi or Ndanzi phoned Makimbi. You will never find that. Oh, Sana. Anyway, what are your thoughts when it comes to all of this? Let's talk in the comment section. Thank you so much. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.